Hello everybody, this is TheXseption, and welcome to my draft analysis for the NPA Season 3. I am very excited to be back again as the coach of the Tampa Bay Luxrays. Now, before we go ahead and jump into my draft analysis, I want to go ahead and point you down below to the link in the description to the document where you can view the system that we use to draft, the different tiers, the Pokemon that make up those tiers, and the changes that we have made. Now, the biggest change we have made, which I'm going to address, is that we have an S tier now instead of a Mega tier. Now, the Mega tier is gone because we didn't really have enough Megas to go around, because not every single Mega is in Sun and Moon. The S tier is comprised of Ultra Beasts, though, Megas, every single Mega that's in the game, and some legendary Pokemon. So that's what makes up the S tier. You can go ahead and check out the specifics of it in the document down below. But let's go ahead and jump into my Pokemon and what I drafted. So my first pick of the draft is going to be Latios. So Latios is my tier 1 pick. Now, last season in the NPA, I really wanted Latios, but it got sniped out from under me by Tesla, and I ended up having to take Latios. Now, Latios is really cool because it's way more defensive. I prefer defensive teams. I honestly find them a lot easier to use. And it also gets some very cool status moves like Healing Wish, it gets Wish, it gets Reflect Type. Now, these aren't the kind of moves that you bring to every single match, but they are cool moves to use, and I really like to use cool in different sets every week. So that's really why I wanted Latios. It also gets access to Defog, and it gets the same exact move pool, coverage move pool, as Latios. So we have a lot of special moves that we can use, and we have a few physical moves that we can use too, which is really awesome with Latios. That's kind of why I chose it as my first pick. It was very versatile. Now, I really wanted to choose my my S tier at this point. I wanted to choose it first, but the S tiers that I wanted were taken out right from under me, kind of like I should have expected. Really wanted Tapu Lele, and I really wanted Mega Metagross, but neither of them made it even close to me because I was number 20 in picking. So I ended up just wanting to go with some of my my early tiered picks first. That way I didn't have to worry about getting sniped on them. I figured I could hold out for an S tier for a little bit. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to my second pick. So this is my second tier pick. I chose Ferrothorn. Now, there were a few Pokemon I was trying to decide between. I really kind of wanted Arcanine at this point, but I figured Arcanine would be around a little while. It's a tier 3 Pokemon, and it's really cool. I did want Arcanine, but I was talking to my assistant coach, and there were a couple things that stuck out. Early, we could have gone for Heatran at this point, Ferrothorn. I kind of just wanted to get my Dragon Fairy Steel Core sorted. And then I was thinking Ferrothorn would be a really good option actually to have with Latios. And it didn't cost that much. It didn't cost anything because it's not a tier 1 pick, it's tier 2. So I figured why not go ahead and grab this. It'd be a good thing to match with Latios, and it doesn't cost me any points, so I'm not locked into anything later. Ferrothorn's really cool. It's steel and grass. It gets a whole bunch of setup moves, not setup moves, status moves. And then it also gets, what's it called? It gets spikes, it gets stealth rocks, it gets leech seed. So lots of cool moves on this. It's not really an offensive mon, but it's a very good defensive mon. And combining its defenses with Latios' special defense, great combo. Can't wait to use it. I'm very excited. Anyways, that's pretty much it for Ferrothorn. Let's go ahead and jump into my third pick. We have Araquanid. Super excited to use Araquanid. It is one of my favorite new Pokemon from Sun and Moon. I really wanted to grab a Sun and Moon Pokemon. I knew not everybody would really be able to grab one because, first off, Sun and Moon only introduced like maybe 60 new Pokemon in total, and of those 60, there's not a whole bunch that are, really suited to be competitively viable. I guess a lot of them could work in the draft format though, but anyways, I really wanted one of the better ones, and Araquanid was sitting right there. It was also in tier 2, which was kind of unfortunate because it cost me 120 points, but it gets this really cool ability, Water Bubble, which makes all water type attacks do 2 times the damage. It cannot be burned, and it takes like 25 or half of the damage from fire attacks, so really OP. And I have a lot of cool ideas to use with Araquanid. I'm not going to bring them up in this video because it is kind of new. There's nothing that you can really expect from it. I don't think maybe Lunge or Liquidation. But other than that, it has a lot of cool moves that I'm very excited to use, and I don't want to mention any of them or give any of my opponents ideas about what I might bring. But yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into the next one. Now that starts off my water fire grass core. Or I guess it kind of is my second Pokemon because Ferrothorn is my grass type. But let's move on to my fourth pick here, which is going to be Hitmontop. Now, Hitmontop is also a Pokemon I wanted last year in the NPA, but I didn't get it. It passed me by. And then in the P4G, I wanted it again, and it got sniped up from me again. So this time I took it, and I feel like I took it a little bit early, but I really wanted an Intimidate user because Arcanine was almost assuredly not going to make it back to me again. But I kind of also wanted this so I could get Rapid Spin. It's honestly just a really nice Rapid Spinner because of that Intimidate and come in on a whole bunch of offensive pokes and just stop them dead in their tracks. Rapid Spin and get out of there. It also gets Sucker Punch and Bullet Punch. So some coverage there. Close Combat does a whole bunch of damage. Not much can stand up to a close combat from Hitmontop. So that's pretty much Hitmontop, and I'm so excited to be able to use it finally. All right, so let's move into our fifth pick here, which is going to be Mega Absol. So at this point in the draft, pretty much all of the S tiers, all the high S tiers were gone. I think Buzzole was left, and maybe Kartana, but I didn't want Kartana. I had considered Buzzole, but really, I had Hitmontop, and at this point I was thinking, I don't know if I should take that. I don't really want two fighting types on my team. Plus, it would give me two bug types because I have a Araquanid as well. So I wasn't really sure about that, and I was looking at the picks that were left, and there wasn't much left that I really wanted or could work with. I was kind of scared I'd end up with like Mega Glalie at the end there, but I was like, I gotta complete this. I just gotta grab my S tier, and I chose Mega Absol. It got a really nice buff in Sun and Moon, so in Sun and Moon, Megas now get their speed immediately when they Mega Evolve, whereas in ORAS and in X and Y, they got it the next turn because speed was determined prior to you Mega Evolving. But now it's determined, I guess, after you Mega Evolve, which is kind of nice. So it gets its 115 speed right away, super speedy, still has that same high attack, and it's going to be doing a lot of damage. I'm really excited to be using this. It's a really nice sweeper. I used Mega Pinsir in the P4G, and I think they're not exactly the same, obviously, but they are used kind of in the same way, just as like late game sweepers, because they have really high attack, they're super fast, and if you forget about them and you lose your win condition, then it's over. So I'm very excited to be using Mega Absol here. Let's go ahead and jump into our sixth pick of the draft, which is Darmanitan. So after I chose Mega Absol, pretty much the seal broke. All the fire types went away. There was nothing left. I was super worried because Arcanine was the first pick that I wanted, and if Arcanine got taken, I was like, I really want Entei then. And Entei went right after Arcanine did. And I was sitting there talking with Versace, who was my assistant coach, and he says, well, how about Darmanitan? And I was like, all right, we can do Darmanitan. So we did Darmanitan, and this is where we are. Now, I've never used Darmanitan. I am kind of excited to use it, but I'm also a little bit worried. It's not super fast. I think it has, like, let me check this out here real quick. I know it's not 100. I think it's 95, but let me just make sure here. Yeah, base 95 speed, so it's not super speedy. Unfortunately, base 95 leads it to being sped crep pretty easily by a lot of different Pokemon. So it kind of has to run a Choice Scarf, but if we're able to run a Choice Band or a Life Orb or something like that, this thing can do major damage. So if we're facing a slower team, whew, man, this thing can just, run through opponents. So really excited to use it. It also gets U-turn, which I was very happy about. It's also another physical attacker that cannot be burned. So in the P4G, I was really annoyed that all of my physical attackers could get burned, and I would get very upset when I couldn't use Rotom to burn the other team's physical attackers because they were fire types. But, with a physical fire type, can't get burned. Super excited. Also, Araquanid can't get burned, so they work together pretty nicely there. The only physical attacker I can have right now, I guess, well, there's two. I guess Ferrothorn and Absol. But, yeah, anyways, let's move on. I'm ranting and rambling too much. So, we have, not Pheromosa, that's not our pick. That's wrong. We have Diane See. Diane See was our 7th pick of the draft. So that's going to round out our Fairy, Dragon, and Steel Core. Now, at this point, it was between two different fairies. I was kind of hoping one would get taken. That way I wouldn't have to make a decision. It was between Togetic and Diane See. And I ended up going with Diane See because I didn't want to add to the rock weakness or the electric weakness that I kind of was getting. I guess, yeah, there's a little bit of an electric weakness. But really the rocks was what I was worried about there. I didn't want to add to that. Also ice weakness. So I kind of went with Diane See. Diane See doesn't get recovery at all. Togetic gets wish. But I guess that doesn't really matter too much. We can always wish with something else into Diane See. Diane See really doesn't have a lot of recovery options. I guess we could Leech Seed and then go into Diane See. But it does get Stealth Rock. It can be run mixed because it gets Diamond Storm. It gets Moonblast. It can do a lot of damage. It's a really nice Pokemon. It's pretty bulky, which kind of fits with the theme of what I like to run, really bulky teams. And I have a few fast physical and special attackers, which is really nice. So kind of just rounding out the team here. And at this point, we're jumping into some of my free picks and then my tier 5. So let's go ahead and see what my second free pick was, which is Dusknoir. So for Dusknoir here, it was kind of a toss-up between Dusknoir and Dusclops. I kind of wanted Dusclops, but my assistant coach talked me into Dusknoir, and I also talked with some of the other coaches in the NPA and some other people I know, and a lot of people just said I should go with Dusknoir. Now, Dusknoir is kind of better because it has a higher attack stat, and it's also faster. But the problem with it is that I can't run Eviolite on it, so it's not as bulky. And I guess it's not too bad because it's still pretty bulky. I think it has base 150 in defense and special defense, so it's still pretty bulky. But it's not as bulky as Dusclops, obviously. But I went with this. We'll see how it works out. I'm very excited to use it. It has some very cool moves. But it's one of those mons where I don't really want to talk about specifics because I don't want any of my opponents getting ideas on what I might bring against them. They're already going to get that from watching the team analysis each week, as long as I do them. So I don't want to give away too much in this, but Dusknoir, I'm very excited to use it. Let's go ahead and move on here. So I got Porygon Z, the man, the myth, the legend, Porygon Z. Now, this is one of the later picks. I really didn't expect to get this. But like I said earlier, a lot of the S tiers went early. So people were locked into choosing lower picks for their free picks. And they were locked into choosing tier 5s and tier 4s. And even, like tier 3s. Porygon is a tier 3, I believe. So that's kind of why I expected it to go. Because there were still a few people that could have chosen it. But it was on the draft board. And I was like, I got to take this. Now, my assistant coach really wanted me to grab something else. But I was like, hey, let's not. I really want to go with a little bit more offense. I usually go with a pretty bulky team. More offense couldn't hurt. I really already have a really nice defensive core with Latios, Ferrothorn, Diane See, Dusknoir, and Hitmontop. So even Araquanid is very bulky, especially defensively. So having some more offensive pressure was really nice. Now, Porygon Z is a really good sweeper. You throw a Choice Scarf on there, and it just runs through stuff as long as, people don't predict you too much. So I'm going to have to try not to be too predictable. And I have some plans already for Porygon Z. It's going to be super exciting to use it. I'm very excited for most of this team here. But that's it. Let's move on to our second to last Pokemon, Ampharos. So I wanted to go ahead and get a Volt switch user. I already have a U-turner. Wanted to get that Volt turn going. Ampharos was my man. Ampharos also gets Heal Bell, which I was very excited about because my assistant coach wanted me to grab a Heal Bell user. That way I could cleric up some status moves if I needed to at some point. Like I said, I run a very defensive team, so getting toxicked or burned is really it's a threat to my team for sure. So I needed some, extra heal bellers there. I know Diane See gets heal bell, and Ampharos does. I think Healing Wish from Latios also will heal status. I don't know if Latios gets heal bell. I want to guess that it does, but I'm not 100% sure. But that's pretty much Ampharos. It's also an electric type. Now, I found not having an electric immunity was really super annoying in the P4G. So I went ahead and took Ampharos. That way, at least I had something that wasn't going to get hit so bad by electric type moves. All right. So let's go ahead and go into our last pick here, which is going to be Gasteron. Now, Gasteron actually has a ground immunity, or an electric immunity. Sorry, it's a ground type. Now, I wasn't 100% sold on Gasteron. That's kind of why I left it towards the end. I did want it, but at the same time, I also was kind of thinking about other options that I could take. I kind of wanted Nidoking earlier, but Gasteron is really cool because it's not weak to electric, and it's also not weak to water? Yeah, not weak to water, because, of course, it has its ability, Storm Drain. There was also something else about it. It's not weak to ice. Also not weak to ice. So that's why I chose Gasteron. Just a really cool mon. I had it in NPA Season 1, and it actually won me a couple matches where I was down and out, about to lose it all, and then stall Gastrodon with the recover. Got me through it. So I don't know if Gastrodon will play that same role. Hopefully it'll be a little better. I've gained some experience as a battler, so super excited to use it again. I'm glad it's coming back. Now, this is the first time I did not draft a Scavalier in the NPA, and I'm so glad I didn't get it. I wouldn't have gotten it, but, at the same time, I kind of missed it. But anyways, that is the draft for the NPA Season 3. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry if it was a little bit rushed. I didn't really talk too much about some mons because I didn't want to give too much away. But I'm also going to be out of town in Tennessee for this week, so I had to record this early before I left. So that's also why there wasn't too much information. But anyways, guys, that's my team. Hope you guys look forward to seeing it. The battle will be up on Sunday, so I don't know what the date of that is, but it will be up on Sunday sometime. I am battling Skylar and the Duke City Doublades. Hope to see you guys there. Peace out.